Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Pokemon White 2. I'm here to PokeGamer. In the last episode we got started on the pick season. We managed to do all that, relatively fast, so we kind of got started on another thing before we get to Mesprit, which kind of means we have to go here, which is just outside of Victory Road, or rather on Victory Road. It's kind of like a off the path type of thing. Zoroark was leading us to an area, and as you can see there's this underground thing here, and anyone who has watched my last Let's Play, which was Pokemon Black, you would know that this is the castle of Team Plasma, and when we get here, as you can kind of see, ends here. So yeah, ends here. That's great, right? So he's gonna want to follow us around while we explore the castle, and he wants us to take him to a very specific room, and that room not being this one. This was where he was kind of, I guess, raised as a child after he was found, abandoned, and being raised by Pokemon. Hence the reason why he's kind of got that little ability of his where he can kind of communicate with them where other people can't. But the room, I guess, apparently brings back some very bad memories as well. Of course, 2 years ago, the whole thing that happened. Probably didn't want to remember any of it, so he decided to kind of exit the room and wait for us. So when we get out, he asks, or not asks, but says that, we'll lead and he'll follow us. So we kind of just follow him around. I believe that if you don't have a repel thrown up, you can run into a bunch of double battles here, but and as you can see, some of the areas are cut off. There are only a very select few areas that you can actually reach, and it's kind of worth it to come here because, one, you get a legendary event kind of triggered, and you also get the TM for overheat, so what's not to like about that? So I mean, that's kind of that. So once you get up to this floor, it'll be like this is our destination, therefore meaning that we have to go into this room, and judging by the giant door, I'm sure everyone who watched the Pokemon Black Let's Play knows what this room is. This is the room where we stood 2 years ago, quote unquote, and battled N to decide basically the fate of everything, whether the truth was correct or ideals was correct in the form of the battle between Zekrom and Reshiram. And it's kind of funny because we technically didn't continue off from Pokemon Black, we continued on to Pokemon White. Basically, our Pokemon's just standing over there because technically in Black we had Reshiram. If you had played Pokemon White, this would be kind of a continuation where he had the same legendary he had back then. So, I mean, in a way, I probably should have done Black too instead, but I'm a pretty big fan of Reshiram. I used to kind of like Zekrom, but I've always kind of hated the fact that I can never have it shiny. So, I mean, and Reshiram's kind of got that glorious look about him, so I've always really liked that about it as well. Not to mention the raging fire that you saw whenever N awoken him, or you would awaken him whenever you got to that point in the game in Pokemon Black and White. So our strategy here is to use Lucario, and this is why I gave it the soft sand, just to make extra sure and have that insurance that we can actually kill with Earthquake. Because if we don't, I'm pretty sure Reshiram's going to destroy Lucario. I mean, being weak to fire, I mean, sure, I have the steel typing for the dragon typing, but steel and fire don't mix very well. So Earthquake being boosted by the soft sand, I guess, is more than enough. I don't know how much damage I would have done without it. I mean, there is a 10 level difference, of course, but I mean, at the same time, it's not stab or anything, so I didn't want to run that risk of it just like not killing and then having to bring something else in to finish it off, especially if he uses items. I don't remember if he uses full restores or not. Not that we'll get to check, but yeah. So after you beat him, he's going to kind of say his goodbyes to Reshiram, and you might be asking why. You're about to find out. He transforms it back into the Light Stone and decides that we are going to be entrusted with it, therefore meaning we can now reawaken Reshiram in another area where it originally awoken, and we can kind of catch it ourselves. So that's great, we'll be able to do that. But of course, on the way there, there's some things that we need to do. First off, we haven't even been to Isra City yet, at least I don't remember it. I feel like we have been, but at the same time, I might be thinking of, Pokemon Black rather than Pokemon White too. So because the area was kind of blocked off up until like really late in the game, if nothing else. I'm pretty sure that area is blocked off until the post game. I can't really remember, of course. It's something I definitely wanted to save for last because there really isn't anything too exciting there outside of getting Reshiram. So, I mean, there's that. As you can kind of see, the little fly markers, like, not like all the others, so I'm pretty sure that we have not been there. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Either way, there's some things that we still have yet to do, of course, and we can start by going here now. We're going to be getting Mesprit now, and believe it or not, Samurot's going to be our Pokemon of choice here. So, I mean, that's just something we're going to end up doing, because I did all the damage stuff. I checked to make sure which ones could possibly bring it into the red, etc. And the best thing that I came up with was Samurott. Now, this also kind of has a bunch of other things factoring in. One, this Mesprit can't have 0 defense, but it has to have not perfect defense either. It has to probably be anywhere between the ranges of 15 and 25. Probably 15 and 20 if I really want to get, you know, or if I want to narrow down the number a little bit. Just enough to kind of help get it in the right damage range. And the reason is because if it has perfect defense for whatever reason, and I use Waterfall, it may do 1/3. If it has like piss poor defense, then it will probably die in 2 hits from Waterfall, despite the fact that I have an attack reducing nature. So it has to be a pretty good number, and once you walk into this one individual spot, PikaWu, I think that's how you would pronounce it, I don't know. But yeah, Mesprit will appear, and of course, in case we kill it, we want to save our state because, you know, I'm using an emulator to do this. Otherwise, you would just save the game and, you know, battle it if you kill it and soft reset and just, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. It's just more convenient for me this way. It takes up less time. You wouldn't have to reload up the game entirely, which is kind of, you know, a good thing, I suppose. But yeah, so we get a good amount of damage here. It does just under half, which is good. We want it to be kind of like that. This thing doesn't have anything to kind of boost its own defenses or reduce, you know, anything relevant. However, if it had used Charm, I guess it would have been kind of a pain in the ass because Charm is an attack reducing nature, or no, yeah, attack reducing nature, an attack reducing status move, and it does happen to have Charm. The other two have Amnesia and Nasty Plot to increase their stats, while Charm is there to reduce physical attack. Kind of glad that, you know, I got lucky and didn't use Charm. It does use it, I think, right now. I think, yeah, it uses Charm now. And then, of course, we want to get a status affliction on it without, like, potentially having to, you know, accidentally get some other kind of weird status affliction that might otherwise kill it. So, yeah. I think I tried using Scald before and it did decent damage, but it just kept burning, so I just found it to be unreliable when it came to damage on Mesprit. So, I mean, yeah, it's a thing. So, I switched into Espeon here because outside of, well, okay, outside of Copycat, which is, in a way, I guess, an attacking move, it cannot hit me with anything that it has for neutral damage. It has Extrasensory, Charm, Future Sight, and Copycat, and as you'll see, it copies the last move used, so it'll keep using things like Extrasensory. If it uses a Future Sight, would be copied, stuff like that, and that's kind of the point. It won't be able to hit me for any kind of neutral or, you know, super effective damage, so I can just kind of tank everything that Mesprit does. I think that if you wanted to use something that was completely immune to everything that Mesprit could do, you would throw in a Dark type here because Copycat would just keep copying Extrasensory or Future Sight, which are both psychic moves, and obviously you're not affected by that as a Dark type. The other two happen to have other ways of kind of getting around things. Flail was there was, you know, all that other crap. So I mean, at least when it comes to Mesprit, you can use a single just pure Dark type against it. The other two, you would want to have a Dark Ghost type, and the only Ghost Dark types that I can name off the top of my head are Spiritomb and Sableye, and both of them are not available in like the main game. You have to either trade for them, or you have to get them from things like the Dream World, or, you know, stuff like that. There is one way to get one, but we haven't done it, and that's getting the 50 calls for Yancy. If you get lucky, you can get a Sableye with its hidden ability from her, from the trades that you do, and I didn't want to kind of just do all that, and, you know, like, it's a lot of time. I mean, you have to call 100,000 times, and she may not even be there, things like that. You have to keep running around. It takes, believe it or not, it took me, I want to say about an hour and a half to kind of get it, because again, she doesn't always really appear. At least whenever I did it, she didn't always appear. So you kind of just had to keep checking the spots and see if she was there to call her. And yeah, so at least the Mesprit caught, or the catch was, it wasn't so painful. I mean, at least we caught it in relatively good time. I mean, we kind of did the same yesterday with Uxie and Mesprit and Azelf. But I think it took a little bit around 10 minutes yesterday as well, so it's pretty good. I mean, we didn't catch Reshiram and, you know, Mesprit in the same fucking episode, but we still kind of got that battle out of the way. And yeah, something I should note about the end fight, after this whole thing is all said and done, you are permitted to go back and battle him, I think, every day, and depending on the season, he'll have a different team. Depending on each season, he does have a weather team. He'll have either sun, sandstorm, hail, or rain. Obviously, I would say spring. I'm just naming these off the top of my head because I'm not entirely sure, but obviously you have rain for spring, sun for summer, sand I would probably say would be fall, and then of course hail for winter. Could be wrong, but that's kind of just, you know, off the top of my head. Not to mention, they're not just any kind of weather team, they are actually very competitive. If I'm not mistaken, the sand team even has a Sandvale Garchomp on it, so kind of wanted to throw that out there. I mean, there's a lot. They have all of the like weather inducers, by the way. We're talking Drizzle, Politoed, Drought, Ninetales. They have all of that. I believe his sand team also has 2 sand stream users, which would be the Tyranitar and Hippowdon. So something to kind of think about. I mean, it's not exactly the easiest of things to kind of take on. It'll probably be something that we do before the end of the Let's Play, of course. At least we're going to do it at least once. But we're not going to get to it just yet, because I believe the levels are actually pretty high too. I think they're like 75 to 80. It's kind of like how Steven was in Emerald, where he was just like in that one cave chilling, and you just battle him. He just has all these really high level Pokemon. But I mean, it's still something I feel like I need to mention, because I mean, if people want to do that, I mean, it's the thing. Imagine it on challenge mode, by the way. I mean, it just becomes even worse. If I'm not mistaken, he gets even better items and better moves, not to mention the level difference. But I don't remember, because I haven't played on challenge mode in a very long time, and I believe that like every time I battled him, it was either during like one specific season, whatever, because I rarely ever did that. But I know I battled each season once, and it just was not awful, but it was a pain. I mean, it's kind of like how Cynthia was in Generation 4. Like the Milotic could always prove to be one hell of a pain in the ass, and you really didn't want to deal with it, but you kind of had no choice. And yeah, so, and at least we're getting all these trainers out of the way. We didn't kind of do that a long time ago, but I mentioned way back then there was a reason for it, and this is the reason why. You couldn't get into the mountain that's up here, as well as Isra City, which follows immediately after, until the post game, because there was always someone blocking it. When we get there, and you'll see it when we do, you'll see that the guy from the Elite Four, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, the fighting guy, he's kind of just hanging out there. I guess he's kind of just there to be like, yeah, hey, this place is now open, you're the champion, so I kind of, you know, told everyone it's okay for you to go in. So, yeah, I don't remember his name. I can never remember his name. But, yeah, considering we're at basically 30 seconds to go until 15 minutes, in the next episode, we're going to be going into Twist Mountain and making our way to Isra City, and hopefully we can get started on Reshiram as well. So be sure to stay tuned for that. If you haven't already, don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and until next time, this is the PokeGamer signing out.